Hello, welcome back to a new video on Horror Movie Collector. In this video I want to talk about the very first A Nightmare on Elm Street, very first 1984, directed by Wes Craven, and the background story and how it all came a reality. So basically it's written and directed by Wes Craven, a supernatural slasher film, the very first installment of a series of films. Stars Heather Langenkamp, John Saxon, Johnny Depp, and of course Robert Englund. And it's with Johnny Depp, I think it was his first major film, and before that he was more of a musician or into music then. So then from then he went to acting, and I still believe now, I think he's into music or in a band, but he's as we all know, one of the biggest stars in the world, and the rest is history. But in the beginning, a lot of inspiration came from director Wes Craven very early on, also going back to his childhood. The villain, Fred, or Freddy Krueger, is drawn from Craven's early life. One night, a young Craven saw an elderly man walking on the side path outside the window of his home. The man stopped to glance and startled Craven and walked off. So this was inspiration for Krueger. So a little bit more of that in more detail. So in Craven's own words, and also relating to the idea of the hat that Freddy wears. As for Freddy's hat, it was pulled from Craven's own past. The hat was the kind worn by men when I was a kid, and there was a particular man who scared me when I was little, as Craven states. And then when he was younger, referring to that incident, there was one particular guy, he was drunk, that came down the sidewalk and woke me up when I was sleeping. I went to the window wondering what the hell was there. He just basically somehow knew I was up there, and he looked right into my eyes. I went back and hid for what I thought was hours. I finally crept back to the window, and he was still there. Then he started walking almost half backwards, so that he could keep looking at me, down to the corner, and turned, and I suddenly realised, my God, that's the direction of the entrance to our apartment building. I literally ran towards the front door and heard 2 stories down the front door open. I woke up my big brother. He went down with a baseball bat, and nobody was there. Probably the guy heard him coming and ran. He was drunk, having a good time. But the idea of an adult who was frightening and enjoyed terrifying a child was the origin of Freddy. So this is where he got a lot of his inspiration and his ideas. So the name Freddy Krueger came from when Wes Craven was a child. When he was at school, he had been bullied at school by a child named Fred Krueger. The coloured sweater he chose from DC Comics character Plastic Man, and the make of the sweater being red and green. Wes thought of him being burned and scarred instead of having a mask like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees characters, whereas if he was more scarred and burnt, then he could express himself more. He thought that he should carry something other than just a knife, because it being too common, so he thought of a glove with 4 fingers and knives to make it more effective, instead of just the usual Michael Myers kitchen knife. So basically in the end he came up with a leather glove with steak knives attached. And then going back to his ideas again, the film was also inspired by several newspaper articles in the Los Angeles Times in the 1970s about Southeast Asian refugees fleeing the United States because of war in Cambodia and Vietnam. Suffered disturbing nightmares, refused to sleep, some died in their sleep soon after. became known as the Asian Death Syndrome, affected men between the ages of 19 and 57, and believed to be sudden, unexpected death syndrome. Craven stated that the Asian families had died in the middle of nightmares. So the character of Fred Krueger was a child murderer. He is the boogeyman and the worst fear of children, the adult that's out to get them in their most vulnerable moment when they're asleep. It's set in a town called Springwood, which is a fictional town. Concerns 4 teenagers living in the street who are invaded and killed in their dreams, and killed in reality by the burnt killer with hat and bladed leather glove. The glove Fred made, he crafted in a boiler room where he used to take his victims. Eventually he was hunted down by a mob of angry parents who lived on his street, Elm Street, and cornered in the boiler room with gasoline, set it on fire, burning Krueger alive. His body dies, his spirit lives on in the dreams of groups of teenagers living on Elm Street. Preys on by entering their dreams and killing them. So when Freddy stalks his victims in their dreams, he seems to play cat and mouse with them before finally killing them. This is the work of a total madman or insane serial killer, or someone that is 100% of pure evil. The house Nancy Thompson, who's played by Heather Langenkamp, and her mother live in, is regarded as Freddy's dream house as the series goes on, or the house he lived in. Sometimes it's explained slightly different in the series as the franchise goes on. But this is one of my favourite busts of Freddy, bursting out of the Nancy Thompson house, and really, really great bust of Freddy and the original house on Elm Street, which is also referred to as Nancy Thompson's house, and also the Dream House in the later films. But really great detail on this little bust and on the house, which almost becomes like a haunted house look as the franchise goes on. But really great sculpted detail there. And then also the glove, which is this here, which is the original glove from the very first original Nightmare on Elm Street. So this is a prop replica of the original glove, of what it would look like from the very first film, which is basically a leather glove with holes in, and just worn out leather glove with all the metal fittings, and you have like steak effect knives which have been sharpened and shaped down almost into like claw fingers, and it's all welded and connected to like copper piping for the fingers, and then a metal flat plate on the back of the hand which has been pinned or bolted down onto the leather glove, which made it a very effective weapon or murder weapon to be used, and it's also very effective for the film, and made this glove iconic, and pretty much everyone in cinema or horror fans of cinema know what this is as soon as they see it. But it's a really great replica of the original glove from Nightmare on Elm Street. So that's my little history on the very first Nightmare on Elm Street, and how it came a reality for director Wes Craven, which I find all the more fascinating and really interesting, how the background of a film or something that's completely fiction came about from real life events or real life experiences, and then it's made into a fictional character and story, which is absolutely brilliant in artistic form. So there it is. Thanks for watching this video, and look out for the next one soon. Thanks. Bye.